Hi and Assalamualaikum to Sir Anwar. Today, my group will present about our movie review which is entitled The Malay Regiment. So, I am Siti Asmida binti Ramli and I'll present the introduction. For the Malay Regiment history. So, the Malay Regiment was an all-Malay military force formed at Port Dickson, Malaya on the 1st March 1933. Under the command of British officers. Also known as Askar Melayu in Malay, the regiment is best remembered for its soldiers' display of bravery and loyalty in the Battle of Pasir Panjang during the Japanese invasion of Singapore in February 1942. The Malay Regiment was originally conceived as an experiment to observe how the Malays would respond to military discipline, but the success of the first batch of soldiers after 5 months of training prompted the further recruitment of 30 men. In December 1933, another batch of 30 men was added. By June 1934, two more squads of 30 men each had been formed. On 1st January 1935, the experimental company became officially known as the Malay Regiment. In March 1937, the Malay Regiment played an important role in the maintaining order during a labor dispute at the Batu Arang coal mine in Selangor, Malaya, where 6,000 workers went on strike. This later earned the regiment a special commendation from the Malayan government and general officer commanding. The regiment had a reputation for marksmanship and displayed this when 4 of its Malay cadet officers won the top 4 place in a brand gun course held in Singapore in October 1938. The regiment also participated in various training exercises in Singapore in 1937 and 1938. So, moving on to the Malay Regiment movie. So this movie is actually based on the true story of our soldiers in defending the country from the communist threat of the 70s. During this insurgency, many military personnel have been killed and injured, and some have suffered permanent damage to this day. That is why the film was released in honor of the heroes of this country who are responsible for keeping Malaysia in a harmony. This film is also about the third will in Tujuh Wasiat Raja-Raja Melayu. It's interesting because there are a lot of people who don't know about the contents of the will. The film presents to you about the fighting spirit of the soldiers of the Malay when it is not afraid to defend the sovereignty of Malaysia. Live and die is not the issue. That is the spirit that is being passed down to the present generation to love their homeland. The Malay Regiment movie was released in theatre on 31st August 2017. The director of this film is Datuk Jurelatif Rosli. It features great actors like Datuk Ahmad Tarmimi Serigar, Yus Waisar, Normah Damanhuri, Nat Zainal, Kamal Adli, Chia Salim, and others. The film has taken several shooting locations such as Port Dickson, Negeri Sembilan, Keluang, Johor, Tapah, Perak, and Kuala Kangsar, Perak.
So next we proceed to the next point, which is synopsis. The movie was inspired by real life event, which is Ops Kota Gubeh 1 and Kota Gubeh 2. Okay, what is Ops Kota Gubeh? Ops Kota Gubeh is a military operation which its mission is to raid communist campsite at the border of Malaysia, Thailand, near Gubeh, Kedah. The movie was directed by I can say that he is actually quite famous for his movie Libas. And the release date for this movie is on 31st August 2017, which equivalent to the date of Malaysian Independence Day. So let's go proceed to the movie. The movie started with the crash of Battalion 17 Malay Regiment Helibon assault that killed 11 passengers. It was gunned down by communists led by Commander Bonseng in the Ulumoda Forest Reserve, Kedah, and all the platoons received an order to report by the headquarters to report on duty. So the headquarters ordered with the platoons to report on duty, which consists of Captain Zainal, Second Lieutenant Razak, and Lieutenant Hamid. So upon arriving, the platoons then raided the communist camp with the help of one of the communist captive, and the team had caught in a battle. Second Lieutenant Razak was defeated during battle with the communists in Perak. So after they fought a battle, and Malay Regiment finally acquired victory with the act of treachery by Tan Chi Meng, as Captain Zainal raided the base camp of the communists and defeated. Tan Chi Meng did treachery, which is he buried all the weapons and ammunition of the communists, which is the act of treachery that helps Captain Zainal to raid the camp and manage to acquire victory. So let's go on to the time frame of the feature. So in feature, the grandchild of Captain Zainal, Second Lieutenant Razak, and Lieutenant Hamid, which is Emilia, Felicia, and Kamal, were in a quest of discovering the history of their grandfathers. Amelia want to find out whether the people that have talked about his grandfather a coward. She wanted to find out whether it is true or not. So upon searching, and they managed to get the address of retired Major General Dato' Abu Bakar from Battalion 17 Malay Regiment, which the help of Captain Harry. So the Major General Dato' Abu Bakar handed a manuscript containing a history of Ops Gube to Emilia for her to seek the truth about her grandfather and herself. So he managed to find the truth that her grandfather was not a coward, and he died in honorable death. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nura Amira, and let's moving on to discussion. Okay, the Malay Regiment film was published to raise awareness among all Malaysians about the service of soldiers in defending their homeland against communist threat. During the insurgency, many members of military were killed and injured, and some have suffered permanent damage to this day. This unsung hero should continue to be remembered and designated as the hero responsible for making Malaysia a peaceful and harmonious state today. The spirit of Malay Regiment in the struggle for religious people and nation is one of the best examples of nation building in Malaysia. In this film, it shown that three grandchildren of former military personnel killed during a battle with the element communists want to know the story of their grandparents while serving as a soldier. By that scene, we can see that the new generation care about the Malaysian history. This film is really good to watch because it will evoke patriotic spirit in the youngster. According to Razali 2016, to realize the spirit of solidarity, employ and artists should take the initiative to promote more film that build the nation's spirit and the spirit of patriotism within each audience. Let the art presented become a masterpiece repeated over time. a word capable of creating phenomena in maintaining the spirit and the spirit of the free soul. However, this film has sparked controversy following the movie, featuring a DAP-164 registration car with a man in suit in front of the Parliament building. According to Free Malaysia Today, Datuk Zahid Ibrahim said the film about the killing Malay Regiment as an evil and stupid job, embarrassing member of the team itself. This film showed that it is loaded with anti-DAP propaganda, including the appearance of a Mercedes-Benz, a car with the license plate DAP-165, which can be read as DAPIC, as insult to the party on social media. Hard to swallow, but all Malaysians should watch this film because it can be a good lesson for us to appreciate all the soldiers that have fought for our country. Malay Regiment film also show us more clearly tourism communists and their determination to colonize Malaya during the pre-independence and post-independence. Not only that, by watching this film, we also can know about tujuh wasiat Raja-Raja Melayu. According to Malaysia Today, tujuh wasiat Raja-Raja Melayu is to maintain historical continuity, sovereignty and political power of the Malay. These 7 will are rarely mentioned, but for the sake of continuity of the maturation life in this beloved country, we can never forget. Lastly, this film is intended to evoke the audience emotion through the thrill born of storytelling. Additional elements such as action, romance, comedy, and drama that will make the story more stand out. Unfortunately, the Malay Regiment is only playing with the fact and acting. The directors seem to have forgotten to include the emotion in the scenes. This movie also feels too much unnecessary CGI. For example, in the scene of conversation between the son and the character of Captain Zainan in front of the house. The scene in the train wagon between Captain Zainan, Lieutenant Hamid and other passengers. The highlight of the train movement can also be said to be over-executed. There are repeated CGI scenes to fill the space of the subplot. In terms of the acting, the character development is too short and not well developed. This flashback, this unbalanced flashback of this era leave the viewer lost in focus.
My name is Adiba Shaira. I'm going to explain about the suggestion or the recommendation of this movie review. So, first thing first is individual. Firstly, cultivate the value of patriotism in themselves. In Malaysia, patriotism is vital for the multiracial society to live harmoniously despite their vast differences in culture and religious belief. There are many ways to share the spirits of patriotism, such as respecting the Jalur Gemilang and celebrating our differences. So the differences here means celebrating or accepting the differences of the races, cultures, ethnics, and religions. So ultimately, patriotism is not the tear in our eyes when we recite the pledge or how straight we stand while singing national anthem. But the true patriotism here is demonstrated in the way we live. Secondly, acknowledge the loyalty and sacrifice of the soldiers. We should commemorate the sacrifices of the fallen fighters and heroes for the freedom of the country. They have risked their life for the people of the country and their beloved Tanah Melayu. So the fallen soldiers and heroes should be honored for their sacrifices. Then thirdly is learn the lesson from the movie. So it is important as a Malaysians to learn the history and take every lesson in order to avoid from the same pitfalls and the history to repeat itself. So based on the movie, history not only provides us with nostalgic glimpse of how things used to be, but it is the lesson that can teach us the things that are important for life today. So history shows us the models and good behavior of the people and heroes that fight for the country, as well as teaching us how to learn the mistakes from others. So next is the second point is for society. So firstly is proud as Malaysians. Okay, so we should be proud that we live in the country that full of contrast and exciting culture. There are a lot of wonderful culture from many races in Malaysia that we as Malaysians should be proud of. For example, the different races in Malaysia, we have Malays, Indian, and Chinese. So we have to embrace the differences of the races and the difference of the culture. Okay, so also we should be grateful of the peace and prosperity of the country. Okay, secondly, Malaysians should be united in this multiracial country. As a Malaysian, we should remain united and work hand in hand to ensure the peace and prosperity of the country. As an idiom goes, united we stand, divided we fall. This means that we should stand together and fight for the peace and the development of the country. So we must be the society that work together as equals towards the same goals of making a better nation where we prosper together and proudly live in this multiracial country. Okay, so lastly, educate the future generation about the history of the country. It is important for us to educate the new generation about the history of the country. Parents, teacher, and people who with the experience of history in history plays an important role in educating a new generation about the history of Malaysia. So there are many ways in educating children about the history, such as learning through books, role-playing, and visiting historical places such as museums. Okay, so let's move on to the country. First is be a role model to other countries. Malaysia should focus on the development of the country in order to be a role model to other countries. So there are many improvements that need to be done for the development of the country, such as political stability, a steady economy, and excellent education systems, and the well-being, of course, the well-being of the people. So other than developing the country, it may also assist other countries to emulate similar success. Okay, so second, Malaysia as a free speech country. So Malaysia should allow a freedom of speech for the people to express their thoughts, their idea in developing their country. The ability to express our opinion and speak freely is essential to bring a change in the society. So it reinforces all other human rights, allowing society to develop and progress. Okay, last but not least is spread the importance of the spirit of patriotism among society. So the government can use media platform such as social media or traditional media, new media, okay, to spread the importance of patriotism among society. So, for instance, the government can create more documentaries film regarding historical event about the country. It is to raise the awareness of the importance of cultivating the spirit of patriotism. It is to ensure the people that are living in the prosperous and unity in this beautiful country.
In conclusion, Malay Regiment is a good worthwhile movie to watch as we gain a lot of moral values and learn about the history of our country. It was based on real-time event Ops Gubei 1 and Ops Gubei 2. And the soldiers that have fought in this battle still have the scars left by the incident. The heroes of Ops Gube will always be honored by Malaysian with this film that tells the bravery and courage of Malaysian soldiers that have fought for the country. The movie was released to raise public awareness to Malaysian about the service of soldiers defending their homeland against communist threats, and it can be a good lesson for us to appreciate the sacrifice of our soldiers. Next, the movie also shows that youngsters know the history of their homeland. So our younger generation alerts about the history of our country. So another thing that we can gain from this movie is watching this movie can get you more in-depth knowledge about the 7 wasiat Raja-Raja Melayu. Despite having good morals and values, this movie also have the critics. One of the movie gain is enormous critics due to controversial scene that is loaded with anti-DAP propaganda. In this movie, you can see 2 cars with the plate number with the front, the letters is DAP, which is one of the political parties in Malaysia. It's part controversial for propaganda. So another more, the movie can be seen relying on facts and less on additional elements such as action, romance, and comedy and drama that makes it stand out. A lack of those elements will make it boring. So one of the suggestions is to have that. Okay. Another for the suggestion for an individual is they should cultivate the value of patriotism within themselves because it is vital for the multiracial society to live in harmony. Next, we must acknowledge the loyalty and sacrifice of the soldiers that have risked their life. The next point is an important point. A wise person learns from the mistake and prepare for the future, which is us an individual should have it. The movie shows the mistakes done and we should take it as a lesson and learn from it. Next, the society aspect suggests that society should be proud to be Malaysian because the sacrifice of our elders is to create the Malaysian we live now. Be thankful for our elders. Furthermore, nations should be united in this multiracial and multi-ethnic country for a better nation that unites in the name of Malaysia. Next point is the society must educate the future generation about the history of the country. For the country perspective, which is Malaysia as a country should be a role model for other countries as it will trigger other countries to do the same, which if we improve our economy, others will set an example as our country as an example. Okay, next, Malaysia should be a free speech country as the freedom of expression and speech because it is essential. As we are not abided, we will speak for what we think is right and propose to the government. Freedom of speech is important. Furthermore, the freedom of speech is essential to create a critical thinking. You start freedom of speech lets you think by your own, think your own thoughts. Next point is the country we live now are different from the Malaysia that our elders lived before. For this, our elders fought for the freedom of our land. Therefore we should appreciate it. but for our role is important as we and other future generation, because we are maintaining the peace that has been given to us. We should do that. Next, we should learn the history of our country for us to be prepared for the worst and rebuild the country. In conclusion, we can conclude that Malaysia is a great country. It is an upper middle income country, and we should be proud of that. Because can you think of a land that have been invaded by the ideology of outsiders? So then we gain peace without the help of other countries. We rebuild our country to be middle income. That is an achievement, development for our country. In addition, the 13th of May incident 1969 should not be raised by political parties to add fuel to racism in this country. Yes, political parties should never talk about the 13th May incident, and for your fuel to racism, for your own sake, for your own party's sake, you should not do that. The incident of 13 May should be set by example for Malaysians, because I can give you an example for an individual that have different political parties. You should not quarrel and fight over each other. That will break the harmony. We, even different political parties, should not break the harmony, the peace. We should unite as a Malaysian. Even though you have different perspective on different political parties, it should not break us. And lastly, curbing racism and lighten the spirit of patriotism should begin at home with parents. Parents play an important role to the children to curb racism. Teach them about the differences about Malaysia, that we live in multiracial countries. Teach them about that, and do not say anything racism to the kid, because the kids learning process is fast. So whatever you say to your child, even though you have a little racism in your in yourself, and you say a few words that may sound as racism, the kids will learn that. That's all from me. Thank you.